Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining me today. Whoa, I love this song, all right? This God is just too good, right? Woo! Make me a shining star, His glory to reveal. And I will worship Him forever, love Him forever, because this God is too good. Thank you so much. I wish I was a DJ, right? Thank you so much for joining me today on Market Faith. Absolutely delighted to welcome you. I'm very excited about the series that we've been doing, talking about how your business can grow, how your business can scale, and what exactly you need to do in that regard. Now, in the last video, I was talking about how growth works, right? The cycle of growth in a business, right? And I showed you this graph that you'll probably be looking at right now, right beside me, right? And the chart or the graph, the way it starts up, it goes up, then it begins to come down. And I was trying to explain that there are 5 different stages in the life cycle of a business, right? There is the launch phase where you start, you get things going. In the last video, we talked about what is very important at that phase. If you didn't watch the last video, I want to encourage you to please go back and watch it, right? The link to the video can be somewhere in this video, and you can just click on it and go back and watch it, right? But I talk about what is important at the launch phase. Why at that phase you want to ensure that the money that you are spending, which will continue to go down, and the money that the business is making, they intersect and they meet at a point as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the hockey stick curve is not going to happen in your business, all right? And when that hockey stick curve happens, that's the phase of growth, right? At the phase of growth, many of us know tailors, people who are very good at what they do. Many of them experience growth, but their Achilles heel, the issue with their business is the fact that they haven't learned the importance of saving money and keeping money aside so that they can hire people that are as good as them or even better to take their business to the next level. So what happens is that the reason why many businesses die at that growth phase is because they've not leveraged the power of systems, structures, the power of other people, that the capabilities other people bring to their business to ensure that they can grow and that they can succeed in the things that they do. So at the startup phase, you want to ensure that money doesn't finish quickly, because at the startup phase, starvation can be one of the major reasons why businesses die. You run out of money, all right? And then at the launch, the growth phase, you want to ensure that you're putting in place and bringing in on board people who will help your business to grow and who will help your business to scale. Now, at the third phase, which is the stabilization phase, right? In stabilization, what you're doing is that you are now putting a lot more structure to the things that you've done at the growth phase. At the growth phase, there is a lot of experimentation. You are doing a lot of things, trying, your hands on this or the other, what works, what doesn't work. You are learning a lot, you are learning quickly, you are introducing new features, you are doing all sorts of amazing things, right? You are experimenting with your engines of growth. I did a video on the engines of growth as well. If you haven't watched that video, you need to go back and check it out, right? And you're checking and you're doing that, you're deploying the paid engine of growth, the viral engine of growth, the sticky engine of growth. You're deploying all those engines of growth to ensuring that the business grows. Now, the business is growing and growing and growing, and it is getting to a point where you need to stabilize the ship, right? You are not a fast boat anymore. At this point, you are becoming like a Titanic. And because so you need to have a lot of systems and a lot of structures in place to ensure that this business runs without you. One of the biggest things you're trying to achieve at the stabilization phase is to take yourself out of the business and see whether that business can still survive in spite of your input, or whether or not your input is there. So at the stabilization phase, you are, putting structures in place, you're putting systems in place. You are now not just concerned about the results that people are getting, you are also concerned about how they are getting those results. What are they doing to get those results? Why? The sustainability of your business is going to be largely dependent on this stabilization phase.
What are people doing to get the kind of results that they are getting? Super, super important. It's not just enough that they're getting the results, it's more important that they're doing the right things. Why? Because if they're not doing the right thing, it's just a matter of time. Your business will go into the decline phase. Now, if you don't correct it at the decline phase, it's going to go into the death phase. At the death phase, there's really not much anyone can do. At the decline phase, people can still try and help, an acquisition can help, a strategic investor can come in and help, all sorts of things can happen. But when the business is dead and pretty much gone, there's not much that can happen there. So I'm not going to focus a lot about decline and death, because that's not where you want to be, correct? All right. Now, but at this stabilization phase, one of the things that you're doing is that, like I said, you're putting structures in place. But one of the reasons is because if you want a business that you can transfer to generations after you, this is the time to work on it. Listen, if you want a business that you can transfer to your children, if you want a business that you can transfer to other people, that will not die when you die, right? This is the period where you work on your business, right? And you are doing all sorts of things. You must have an organization structure at this point, right? A working and functional org structure, org chart, very important. You must have performance management systems in place. You must have HR systems in place. You have all sorts of systems, because at this stabilization phase, you are building an organization. You are building an entity. And so you need to have very strong back office and very strong support. Otherwise, you will not build a sustainable organization. So you need to spend money on administration. You need to spend money on things that you didn't know you will spend money on. And why am I saying this? In our culture and in our environment, you find that many people who have started businesses and have grown those businesses and are in a stabilization phase, but because they don't know it, so you hear them say things like, I started this business myself. I didn't need systems when I started. Why do I need systems now? The reality is, what got you here will not get you there. You must change the person that you are and the way your business is structured if you are going to achieve the kind of results that you want, right? I'm a business consultant, and I've seen all sorts of people in my lifetime telling me all sorts of things, that they don't need this consulting, they don't need that consulting, and that's okay, that's fine, right? But the reality is this: if you want to build an organization that lasts, that outlives you, you need to put the right systems in place. Now, the beautiful thing about this point is this: when a business gets to stabilization phase, one of the things that organizations do to ensure that it continues to grow instead of declining is that they do what I call a relaunch, right? What does that mean? When the business gets to, remember the chart, when a business gets to the phase where it seems like things are stabilizing, right? If you're not careful, the systems and the processes that you put in place will get to a point where they start to choke the business, right? And innovation doesn't happen anymore. So what happens is that the business begins to decline and it goes to death. But the way to cure that is to find a way to be innovative again. So imagine doing this. Think about this. Imagine I cut out what has happened at startup and launch, which is this, right? I cut it out and I go and paste it on the top of stabilization, such that, instead of declining, I go back up and I shoot up again. That's what is at that point, right? And you see it in the chart. It's at that point that I call relaunch. So I'll give you a classic example. Coca-Cola starts their business is growing, they've reached some sort of saturation and stability phase. But all of a sudden, it seems like as if the brand is going down. What do? They quickly go and introduce an initiative, another startup initiative, that they re-inject into this point where things seem like they are going down. And what happens? Boom, things go back up. Think about practically everybody in the consumer goods industry does the same thing. What they do is that they take a product, close up, right? Your toothpaste. They rebrand it, they put one or two other things in there, and then they launch another product. And then what happens is this: instead of the business to die, the momentum that a startup brings, the innovation and all of that comes with having a startup and growing it, they just cut it and paste it there again. Boom. And once they paste it, instead of the business to die, the business goes back up. Why? Because they've learned that what happens at that startup phase, and this is why every business must still be a startup at heart, because when you get to that point where things are saturated, You need the startup mentality to be able to paste it here so that things can go up all over again. That is very, very important. If your business is going to survive, new ideas are introduced at that point. New initiatives come up, right? You start to do very new and exciting things because things have gotten to a point where they are dragging and you just need to, relaunch and take it back up. So the way businesses have grown in generations, that's why when you plot the graph of their performance, oftentimes it's not very linear. It's always very zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. Sometimes it will look like they're coming down, then their share price will go back up. Then it will look like they're coming back, then their share. Sometimes it's just an announcement, a merger announcement, right? The things are going down, they announce a merger, boom, the business goes back up, right? Things are going down, they introduce a new product, boom, the business goes back up. Things are at the point where it's saturated and they just need to shake things up a bit. And once they introduce it, boom, things go back up. Why? Growth oftentimes comes with starting something new or reintroducing an innovation in something that is old. So when people have because people have seen that over time, so what they do is that they create something again that they can put in there and the business goes back up. Why is this important? If you want your business to grow, if you want your business to scale, you must be able to reintroduce something in there. That's where great people come into play because you will not have all the ideas. So great people, when you hire them and bring them on board, they help create this powerful momentum and powerful relaunch of something fantastic here that takes your business to another level. That's the way it works. That's the way business works. Some people just reintroduce their brand. They change their logo. There's new momentum. There's new excitement. Boom, and something happens. So we've gone through the cycles of how business works. If you don't want your business to decline, because the structure that you introduced that got you to a point where you were stable, if you're not careful, the bureaucracy will kill the business and it will die. But what you need to do, right, is introduce something new, right? Oftentimes with a great team, oftentimes with people who are smarter, people who are doing more exciting things, and let that thing kick off again. Sometimes you find that, especially in our environment, people only make such kinds of decisions where they are too old, they can't introduce new things, they feel like their energy is gone and all those types of things. You don't want to get to that point. You want to make sure that you are brought in people even before you get to that point so that these people can do great things and you can oversee it so that you can step in if you need to step in, right? But when you're too old, sometimes that time is too late. You need new blood, new ideas, new thinking, fresh thinking, and fresh ideas in your business. So I hope that the things that we've talked about over the last couple of videos have been very helpful for you in terms of how to grow and scale your business. I want to encourage you, please, if you know anyone who is running a business, anyone whatsoever, if they've heard this before and they know this already, it's not bad to have a refresher. But people that you know in business, please invite them, tag them, put a comment on down below and tag them by putting at their name so that they know that you are drawing their attention to this video, and let them learn what they need to do to build a sustainable business that grows over time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I trust that it's been very helpful, and I'll see you next time. God bless you.